Aloha friends, it's Robert Stehlik with Blue Planet Surf. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the Koa Kai Triple Crown full races that happened this month in July of 2026. And a collection of full races, and it starts with the Voyager Wet Feet race here on Oahu, and then the Paddle Imua race on Maui. You have to do one of those two to qualify, and then the big three races happen all on the same weekend, starting with the Maui to Molokai race, followed by the Kamalo run on Molokai, and then there was one rest day followed by the Molokai to Oahu race. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the wing foil side of these races. My focus is on wing foiling. That's what I've been doing for the last 4 years. Amazing conditions, especially the Maui to Molokai race was amazing, and also the Kamalo run. Unfortunately for the M2O race, the full race, the wind was really light in the beginning. There was a rain squall that came through, and the race committee pulled a lot of us racers out of the race before the wind started to kick in. So that was a little bit of a disappointing end to the weekend, but let's go into the conditions and the racing on the prior days. It was a super exciting weekend for wing foiling, so check it out. All right, so we've been preparing for this for a while, and a few of us arrived on Maui the day before the Maui to Molokai race and did a downwinder, the Maliko run, just to warm up a little bit and get ready for the conditions. And then this is the morning of the race. We had to get there early to drop all our stuff to be taken over on the boats, and then wait for quite a while. The start was a little bit later in the day, early afternoon, so that was nice because the wind had time to really fill in and the conditions were amazing. Usually the beginning is a little bit in the wind shadow on the west side of Maui, northwest, but the wind was pretty filled in, so we're excited. And early in the morning, they started out the stand-up paddle boarders and canoe paddlers. So they kind of tried to stagger everybody's start so that in the end we would all finish around the same time. So so they started the stand-up paddle boards and canoe paddlers quite early, and then the stand-up foilers paddled out and got ready for their start, and then they started the wing foilers quite a while afterwards. So the tracking really makes it cool to recap the race, to see everything. The green dots here are the SEP foilers starting off. So they started off in a pack and went pretty direct, or if anything a little bit south of the rum line. They kind of just let it run a little bit. It's easier to catch bumps and go to the right when you're closer to Molokai than in the channel. So they picked a pretty direct route. And then I think 15 minutes afterwards, they started us, the wing foilers. So you can see the red dots here are the wing foilers. And of course, we can't go straight downwind. So most of us chose to take a line getting close to Molokai, or as it was definitely easier to make way towards the finish line by going to the right than to the left. So but then of course kind of tacking back and forth. I had a pretty good start, got right over the line at the starting gun, and then I saw Livio on a really good downwind angle, like he was going way downwind, and then Marley Franco and Bobo kind of passed and got way ahead of me pretty quickly. But I had pretty good boat speed, and at first the wind was a little bit light, but then the wind really picked up and was good. John McCabe was close to me for much of the race on a pair wing. So he had a big pair wing, was kind of overpowered, and surprised how fast he was going. And then early on too, I was chasing Ken Winter for a while, He was ahead of me for a while, but then somehow got off track a little bit and fell behind. And then, I was on a 7-meter wing and a 340 Mike's Lab foil, which worked really well. Good for the conditions. And then as we got closer to Molokai, the conditions got even better, super clean, nice bumps. And I found it a little bit easier to stay in the little bit smoother water closer to the inside rather than staying further outside. You can see a lot of the stand-up foilers are further out where the bumps are really big. On the wing foil, you end up passing up the bumps at high speed, so it felt a little bit easier to do that on the inside than in the really. It was kind of, I felt like I was going to overfoil on the outside. And yeah, you can see some of the other racers here. Focusing more on the wing foiling. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of footage, but you might have seen some of the footage of Bobo just flying super high speed. Here he is finishing already. And then it was, I think, Bobo, Marley, and then Livio. And then I came in 4th place, I believe. So I was really stoked with that finish. I actually, at the end, ended up going a little bit too far in. I had a clean run. I didn't fall at all until the very end when I got a little bit too close to the shore, and there was some pretty good sized south swell, and a wave clipped me right at the end there. So that was a bummer. I fell in, and John McCade, who's been kind of chasing me the whole time, also fell in right at the finish. So I actually still ended up in front of him, but that was kind of a bummer. I lost a few minutes at the very end. And then my buddy Felipe came in after that, and then I believe after him it was Ken Winner, Eli, Tatiana won the women's division. So and then had really nice conditions for the whole race. It was really good, excellent conditions for the Maui to Molokai race. I think Jenna was 2nd place in the women's division, so our friend Jenna from Oahu. So we're stoked with the results. And then the next day we had to get rested up and get ready for the Kamalo run on the following day, which is basically the last part of the M2M race. Here's the results again. I guess let's look at the actual results here. So these are the actual results. In 1st place was Bobo, 2nd Livio, Marley Franco from Maui, Michael Worrell from Maui, and then I came in 5th place overall, my friend Felipe after that, and so on down the line. It was a good field of wing foilers, 36 total. My friend Matt Hume had a leak in his wing, unfortunately, and had to bow out of the race, but then he did finish 3rd overall on Monday in the Molokai to Oahu race. So this was the award ceremony. Stoked to get a medal. I think I was 1st place in the 50 and over division. Nice medals. And then we had a night on Molokai. And then the next day it was the Kamalo run, the Molokai Holokai. The green paddlers are the stand-up foilers, red is the wingers. They were drifting quite a bit before the start, and then us wingers were more on the inside. The stand-up foilers chose more of an outside line in the bigger bumps once again, and we were kind of chasing on the inside. Super nice conditions, very windy, so really high speeds. We had just really good fairly smooth water on the inside, and then steep clean bumps everywhere, and just moving fast. It was Bobo and Marley, were ahead of me. I was chasing them, had a clean run. It was just a fast race, and just super fun, nice conditions. Can't beat that run really, and just poor Ken had a leash failure and didn't have a good race that day. Marley Franco finished first. I think Bobo's tracker did not work right, or maybe he was recorded differently, but Bobo and Marley finished first and second, and then I was third, so I was really stoked with that result. Tatiana was the fastest woman. Eli had a good race too, and a lot of stand-up foilers. So this year that Kamalo run was part of the Triple Crown, Koa Kai Triple Crown. So here's Bobo, Marley, and myself getting our medals. So stoked to get third place overall. And they had a nice hololea at the Molokai Community Center. We got lots of food and prizes, and just a really nice community event for that whole weekend. Always nice to be on Molokai with all the people there, and appreciate the Molokai community for letting us have fun and do this event every year. I know it's a lot of people and boats that show up on Molokai every time we do these races. So thank you. Here are the results of the Kamalo Downwinder. So Bobo finished first in 14:49, such a fast race. 24:27. And then Marley 25:14. I finished in 28:32. Tatiana next, Felipe, Eli, and so on down the line. Just everybody had a good time, and then at the end we were then we had a day off. So Sunday was a rest day, so everybody could relax after doing those two races in a row, and we're just getting ready. You can see Oahu in the distance there. This is at the Kaluakoi resort. Eli has his place there. He let us stay at his place, crash on the floor. And so on the night before the race, we're all prepping our foils, sanding out the little scratches and filling it with the pens, and just smoothing it out for optimum performance. If you foil a lot in Hawaii, you end up always scratching your foils on the reef or on some rocks and whatnot. So when you're racing, every little scratch matters. So we're just getting everything ready. That's Felipe. He's the F1 rep on Oahu. And Eli and Matt Hume. There's my board. I was using the Wing Racer, which is 510. And we're a little bit worried about the wind. The forecast actually looked pretty good, but the wind was pretty light that evening. And then the next morning it was pretty much very light wind when we were heading out. So, but we were hoping for the best and getting ready.
All right, so Eli here is going to show us how to
Eli, kind of
make a waterproof pouch for your phone.
Waterproof pouch.
Doesn't fit in the bag.
Yeah, if it doesn't fit in the bag, it's too big.
His phone case.
He's going to use
So he
his
used
food
this
vacuum sealer to make a waterproof
vacuum
pouch
sealer
for his phone that you can
to
use
make a little pouch for his
while
phone.
it's sealed. So he
He
put like two or three
one end, and then
seams on the bottom.
Makes it a little bit longer, so
he's gonna cut
when
it
he
to
cuts
the
it
right
open,
length.
you can reuse the same bag a couple times.
Cutting tool.
Basically, he just puts his phone in the vacuum bag,
Put the phone in.
and then
So
seals
about
it.
how much
seals
extra
it up,
do you need at the top? So you
and
can,
that way
you
can
want-
actually use the
I'm
screen.
putting a
Really
good
well
amount
through that
extra
vacuum
so I
bag.
can
And
put a bunch of seals and I
it's a
can
good
cut
idea
it
if
and
you
use the same
You're
bag.
in need of a waterproof case for
well,
your
so
phone,
you
and
use it
don't have
multiple times the same
one
bag.
that fits
Yep.
your phone. This is a good alternative way to do
Okay.
it.
So you
And he
leave
puts
some space at the
Got it
bottom.
in.
Three
This
seals,
wood sealer,
and he
you
sucks
put
out
it
the
in
air with the
green
vacuum
here.
sealer.
pull
and
this
then he
down.
puts 3 seams on either side, and then
Right.
he also
alright,
punches
so
a
now we
little
got
hole
3 seals
so
at the
he
top,
can
3
attach
seals
the
at
whole
the
thing
bottom.
to his pocket.
That's a little extra space
And
for
yeah,
an
as you can
extra
see, it's
redo the
works really
packaging
well
next
for
time.
using
And
the
then you're gonna cut a hole
touchscreen.
in it for
Cut a
for
hole
tether.
right
when it's
there.
wet.
Maybe one more for good luck.
So yeah, thanks Eli for that little tip. So the next morning, there was a big south swell, big waves coming in, so that was kind of exciting. We had to get all our clothing and gear and bags to the escort boats before the race. So, and then while we're heading out, these waves were coming in, and it was kind of a little bit rainy and overcast, and those rain squalls kind of killed the wind. There was really very light wind that morning, so it definitely made us nervous, not only having to go out through the surf with the wings, but then also not having much wind at all. Was a little bit frustrating and nerve-wracking, but everyone's getting ready. The stand-up foiling division was amazingly well attended. Lots of people doing the stand-up foiling. It seems like it's still really growing. A lot of excitement around that. Wing foiling too, but it's kind of to a lesser degree, I think. But yeah, so that's Ilio Point where the race starts, and there was not much wind out there. Basically, the year before, we were able to wing foil from pretty close to the beach up to the point, but this year, just the wind was super light, and there was no way to get to the start with the wing, so we had to catch boat rides to get to Ilio Point, which is that point that you see in the distance on the right. So yeah, the shore break was definitely added some excitement to the whole thing, and there's the Ilio Point, and that's Kaluakoi Resort, and that's Eli and Matt Hume, where everyone's excited, nervous, and ready to go. And for wing foiling, we didn't have to have an escort boat, like it was optional. So many of us chose to do it unescorted, where you have to have a lot of different safety equipment. They charge a little bit more for doing unescorted because they have to have more safety boats available. That's Ilio Point up there. But I guess not having an escort boat, quite a few of us couldn't get going in the beginning, so the race committee ended up pulling a lot of the unescorted riders out. And what was really disappointing is that it happened kind of just a few minutes, or like maybe I got pulled out of the race maybe 10 or 15 minutes before the wind kind of kicked in. So early in the morning, there was really no wind hardly at all for us to get going. And then later, the wind kind of picked up a little bit and got a little bit easier to get started. But here you can see the blue dots are the wing foilers. Some wing foilers were able to get going in the beginning, but then you can see them, a lot of us like stalling again. But there's like Bobo, Michael Worrell, Ken Winner, me, and Eli, and Daniel Shoemaker. A lot of us were just kind of stuck in the beginning. There's Monica Hagen from Maui. She was able to get going. Marley, and then my friend Matt Hume, he was on a big wing and a good sized foil, so he was able to get going as well. And he also had a escort boat. But many of us were kind of still at the beginning of the race. For about an hour, we're still sitting at the start trying to get a puff of wind to get going. And it was just, I got up on foil a couple times, but then it just kind of died off again. Or when I tried to jibe, then I would come off foil again, and never really got going. And then eventually they pulled me from the race, and I got on the escort boat. I ended up catching a ride on Ken Winner's escort boat. It was Keith Baxter was the captain. So I've known Keith for a long time, so it was kind of cool to have Keith on the boat with me, or have him pick me up. And he said, when the wind kicks in, we can put you back in the water and pump up your wing again, to obviously take out the air of my wing. But then about 10 minutes later, Ken Winner, who had a broken boom, he kind of tied his boom back together with his harness line. So and he was struggling for over an hour trying to get going, and then eventually the wind kicked in. It was only about maybe 10 or 15 minutes after I got on the boat, the wind started kicking in, and then we followed Ken Winner across the channel. And then of course once we got going, he was going pretty fast, and there was no way I could jump off the boat and get back in the water. So it was kind of really frustrating to after all the preparation, sitting on a boat and just having to cross the channel on a boat and watching other guys do it winging. But still, it was a cool experience nonetheless, and I was actually quite exhausted. So Livio finished first place in the wing foil division. He's a red dot here, so he got, I think, put in the women's subdivision for some reason, the color of his dot. So Livio was just, he told me afterwards he wasn't sure where he was in the race. He thought he was maybe top 5, but he didn't know that he came in first. And then Marley Franco came in second, and then my friend Matt Hume came in third. So congratulations, Matt. Well done. Ken Winner took a really southerly route, like he went way south, which I think was actually a pretty good route. So congratulations to everyone who finished this race. For those of us who couldn't finish it, it was kind of a bummer. Not the best way to end the weekend, but I knew I had another weekend of racing ahead of me. So I also did the stand-up paddle race the following weekend, the M2O stand-up paddle race, and won the stock division for the third time. So that was my redemption. I'll make a separate recap of that race. I'll post that next week if you're interested. But for those of us who got stuck at the beginning and never went anywhere, this race was kind of a sad way to finish a great weekend otherwise. So first place was Livio. Congrats, Livio. And then second place was Marley Franco. And then in third place was Matt Hume. Well done, you guys, and everyone who finished. All right, well, that's it. Thanks so much for watching this recap of the Koa Kai Triple Crown race series, focusing on the wing foiling aspect of it. Hopefully I'll be back next year to do it again, and maybe you can join as well. It's a super exciting week of racing here in Hawaii, so you don't want to miss it. It's awesome. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to the Blue Planet Surf YouTube channel down below. We'll see you on the water. Take care. Aloha.